Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how I travel on the cheap. I had a lot of people asking me to do this video. I had a lot of people saying to me, Rochelle, how do you go from A to B so cheaply? How do you manage to travel so much with such little money? And today I'm going to be answering all your qualms. This video was meant to be filmed last year, but then I pushed it back to January, and then I pushed it back to whenever because of Southeast Asia. And this worldwide pandemic came along. It kind of just got thrown into my backlog of videos I needed to film. I wanted to make this video purely because when I started out traveling, I found it really hard to find all the information condensed into one place and straightforward and just easily consumable. So I wanted to do that so other people can access this and find it easy to do all the stuff I'm doing without having to watch a million videos, picking pieces out of each video to put together. So it's going to be all in one place for you, so I hope you enjoy it. Right, we're going to get into it. I don't want to keep it too long. I want to get bite-sized and straight to the point. My favourite thing to use is Skyscanner. I always use Skyscanner, never use anything else. The great thing about Skyscanner is that they have this everywhere option. I used the everywhere function when I went to Amsterdam on my first solo trip. Type in your home airport and then you type in everywhere, and it gives you an option to select like a whole month or certain dates or whatever, and then you can just pick and it finds the cheapest place for you. So if you're not too fussed about where you want to go, that's a great option, and that's how you can find some really cheap travel deals. Every single flight I have booked through Skyscanner. That's how much I love Skyscanner, and that's been like, what, 4 or 5 years? The only thing I would say is that if you are going to use a budget airline, Skyscanner is a good place to check all airlines and check what prices they come up. But if the cheapest is a small budget airline like EasyJet, the best thing would be to book directly through them because the price is the same most of the time. If it's a big airline, I found that Skyscanner is always cheaper in my personal experience. Second of all, don't think a lot of people know about this, but I would always recommend when you are looking at flights, when you're looking at anything holiday related, even purchasing like non-holiday related things, search in private browser. That way they can't track what you've been looking at and then bump the price up, because that does happen. If you've been watching something for a long time, for example a certain flight, they'll know you've been watching it if you're on a normal browser. If you do it in private browser, they cannot follow you. They can't like follow the trail. Always book in incognito. I cannot stress that enough. There are other places you can book flights, such as Google, Flight Finder, I've got Momondo, Expedia, all of those, but I don't really have much experience in them. I only really use Skyscanner, so that's where my information is coming from. If you are like me, are not a very good packer, or condenser, or minimalist, this might be something you need to focus on and maybe work on. Basically, flights, you can get flights dirt cheap. I was looking a few days ago. Ryanair had a sale on the 2nd of September 2020 where all the fares were like £5, and I found a return to Berlin for £11, I think. 10 or £11. I think it was 10.50, something like that, and that's a bargain. But the way that airlines get you are by not including checked luggage. EasyJet's pretty good because you can have the carry-on, but Ryanair, no. Wizz Air, no. Ryanair are cheeky like that, and you need to learn to haggle the system, you know? When I mentioned Ryanair cheap flights, a really good website for this is genuinely just Ryanair cheap flights. If you type into Google, Rochelle will show you Ryanair cheap flights, you'll find the thing that pops up, Ryanair website, and you can pick your airport, you can pick your price range, and just press go. Then the cheapest fares will be listed. I do like to scan that quite a lot because you never know what you're gonna get. Now, accommodation is going to be your priciest chunk of your holiday. This is without a doubt the money pit basically, and there's no real way around it, but you can be smart, you can be clever, you can find cheap accommodation. So that brings me on to the first, hostels. Hostels are great. I stayed in hostels basically all throughout my Interrail solo trip. It's great if you're on your own, it's great if you're with friends, it's cheap. You can get some really lush hostels, like really lush hostels, and sometimes they're a lot nicer than hotels. But hostels are your go-to, especially if you're on your own. It'll save you so much money, and it makes me so happy. Sometimes if you're with someone, hostels might not be the cheapest. Hostels can be cheap if you're on your own, but if you're in like a pair or like with a friend, sometimes, I think all the time, hostels have worked out to be more expensive than splitting a hotel or an Airbnb with someone. So there's always that option. So I think your first port of call if you're on your own should be to go and look at hostels, but if you're with someone, look at hostels and also look at other accommodation options, which then brings me nicely onto the next one, which would be Airbnb. Airbnb is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I always book with superhosts just so I know I can trust them. I adore Airbnb, and I'm gonna be cheeky and put my little link in there. So I don't know how much money you can save, but if you book, I get some money, so it's a win-win. I don't know how much it is exactly. I think it's like 35. I'll put it in the description and I'll put here like how much it is, because I'm not too sure, because I've never actually used the referral link because I don't have any friends, hence why I travel solo all the time. So yeah, Airbnbs and hotels tend to be, in my experience again, a lot cheaper than hostels. For example, trip to Greece earlier this year that I didn't get to go on because of Mrs. You know who. The Airbnb worked out to be like £6–7 cheaper a night per person than getting a hostel. You've got to explore your options really. If I were to book a hotel, I always go to booking.com. Again, not sponsored, but booking.com and Skyscanner are my two go-tos, and Airbnb, but booking.com is my place for hotels all the time. When you sign up, when you register, you can create an account, and then the more hotels you stay at, your Genius rating goes up. It gives you like special access to room upgrades, percentage off hotels, and like little perks like that. So it's really great if you're a traveler. Like, it's a good place to have an account for, because you can just reap some benefits. Like, you're gonna be booking anyway, you might as well book through there and see what nice little perks you can get, you know? Okay, so this one is important. If you're looking at a hotel, for example, or a hostel, these are the two cases I found that you need to really check the most in. Say if I'm looking at a hostel on Hostel World. Oh my god, I didn't even mention. Right, we're gonna backtrack quickly. Best place for hostels is Hostel World. Swear by it. All my hostels have always been booked through there. There's so much choice, and there's other filters. I love playing around with filters. What I was trying to say is, if you're booking a hotel on booking.com or a hostel on Hostel World, always check the prices direct with the hotel as well. So compare those prices you have from the third-party websites to the actual hotel website. Sometimes booking directly, you'll get extra perks like free breakfast, free alcohol. What I'm trying to say is to compare the prices from the hotels and hostels directly compared to the third-party websites, because sometimes there might be a difference, but then you have to make your own judgment as to whether you want the extra perks and pay a bit more, or you're happy with not having the extra perks and saving a little bit of money. In my experience, I've always found that booking third party cheaper. I'm not really fussed about like breakfast things, so booking directly most of the time, they offer free breakfast, and I'm like, I'd rather save like 10 quid and get a breakfast from the supermarket for like £1. It's down to your personal preference, to be honest. Right, we're gonna move on to the third. I don't know if it's the final. No, Michelle got it wrong. So, Michelle from the past, you're a silly goose. We have 4 sections, so there's quite a lot. Nice number to like into a video. The next element, we've got food and drink, my favourite part. Now, food and drink can be your most expensive or your cheapest thing possible. And I like to make it the cheapest thing possible. Most of the time, 99% of the time. That 1% of the time, I like to treat myself, you know, to a nice little meal and a glass of wine. Sitting and watching the sunset. My god, I miss going on holiday. I try and eat out as little as possible when I'm on holiday. I'll have like 1 or 2 or 3 meals out. Like 1 probably a day, like a nice sit down meal. Pro tip, never eat in tourist areas. For example, in the Milan Square where the cathedral is, don't eat around there, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to drive the price up because it's convenient and it's next to the cathedral. Another example, in Poland, in Krakow, the main square with the bell tower and you've got the market, eating there is a rip-off. Don't get me wrong, I have done it and it is fun. It's nice to do it once in a while, but if you just walk around the corner from a tourist destination, you are going to find a restaurant probably half the price. And this was the case in Krakow, where the main square alcohol was very expensive. We walked around the corner around the back and we found a place that did £1.20 pints of beer. It just takes a few extra 100 yards and you found basically your savings for the rest of the trip. Eat out, definitely eat out in local places. Support local businesses though. Eat at local restaurants and like family run businesses. But also eat in non-tourist areas. This next one is probably my holy grail. Supermarkets are honestly God's gift to planet Earth. I love going in supermarkets, full stop. It's just an experience, it's fun. You wind your way through the aisles, you see this, you see that, and you're like, wow, what an experience. I'm not even hyping it up. I love supermarkets and I love late night supermarket sesh experiences because it feels like another world. Getting your breakfast, for example, in Ljubljana, there was a supermarket near my hostel and I went and got myself a breakfast. I had like a piece of fruit, a yogurt, a pastry, coffee and some other bits, and it came to like £1.60 or something, and that's your breakfast sorted. Like, you've got a good substantial breakfast. And this is perfect for lunches as well. If you don't want to spend money on eating out, you can get a baguette, you can get some ham, you can get some cheese, you can get some non-meat, you can get some crisps, shove it all in. You spent about like what, €4, and that's probably like a lunch for one day. That could be your dinner as well. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the 4. I think when you're going to places like Bali, you're gonna pay quite a lot for whitewater rafting, canyoning, bungee jumping, skydiving, all of those things. They're gonna cost you money. Like, they are experiences, but I have no issue paying for those because I'm like, I get to jump out of a plane, scream, and have this experience for the rest of my life. Yes. My number one thing to do in each location when I arrive is to find a free walking tour. Because what? They are free and they show you the city, because I find often arriving in a city, especially at night, is very overwhelming. When you arrive in a new city, you kind of want to get your bearings, and free walking tours are a really good way of doing that, and also meeting people and seeing a city, to be honest, like learning stuff about a city. You are expected to tip. It's rude if you don't, basically, and you can tip like €5. I normally tip like 5 or a bit less because I literally never have money. If you are a student, have your student card on you, because most of the time you can get student discounted entry to places. And if you're not a student, I'm pretty sure you can get like youth cards, which I actually need to sign up for. Another friend of mine is Google, and a lot of backpacker websites like Nomadic Mats, Backpacking Bananas. They're really good for giving like suggestions of places to go and places that are free. Google is great at that. You just type in free things to do, so and so. And I find most of the time in places where you go, having a picnic, sitting in a park, just walking around is the best thing you can do, and it's free, and you just get immersed in the city. Like, you get swallowed up by the city, and it's great. Basically just Google free things to do in so and so, and it always brings up a list. Also, always Google when places do free entry, because I think the 911 Museum in New York does free entry after 5 p.m. on Tuesday. At the time of recording, it might change, but I'm pretty sure it does. So I work around that. When I was planning my New York trip, I was like, I'll go there on Tuesday, so I save like what, $30? Not sure how much it is, but it's quite a lot of money. Yeah, work out when attractions have free days. Most of the time they tend to be Sundays in Europe, which I found. Most churches and things like that are free anyway, like Notre Dame in Paris is free to go in. But you can work around, some attractions have days where it's free entry, or certain days of the month where it's free entry, so always keep an eye out for that. And if you're there at a certain time and it is on, rack that saving. So other miscellaneous things I wanted to mention was that if a budget airline or an airline is flying to somewhere for cheap, for example, my flight to Amsterdam when I did my solo trip in 2018 was 40 quid for a return. The places that tend to fly cheap flights are expensive places to go. Like, Amsterdam is not cheap. Paris you can get cheap flights for, but when you're there, accommodation, food and everything is so expensive. You've got to toss up your options and see whether it's worth it. So always research into a place first. In general, locations in Europe are quite expensive compared to like Southeast Asia, India, Bali. So like westernized countries are more expensive. If that's a thing for you, I would recommend like Southeast Asia, or Eastern European countries are quite cheap. Your money can go quite far and you can get really good stuff for your money. I'm just going to touch upon this one quite quickly because I'm going to mention it in another video I'm doing. But Monzo, Starling, Revolut, I've honestly been game changers. Like, I cannot praise them enough. I genuinely, they are part of my day-to-day life now. I adore. Monzo was the first one I got and I used it throughout my Interrail trip and it was perfect. Currency is converted instantly and you get a notification on your phone when you've bought something in a different country and you've spent so and so. And I just love the vibrant colours. I love the colour of the card. I could honestly do a whole separate video about how much I love Monzo. Monzo, please sponsor me. Like, I would love to work with Monzo. Oh my god. But they genuinely changed my travelling. Before, like when I didn't have Monzo or Starling or Revolut or any of them, it would always charge me, like I'll buy something for €5 and it'll put like a £1 surcharge on because I've used my card in a foreign transaction, and I'm like, oh, now that's racking up. Monzo is just tap, no extra charges, and it's just great. Monzo, I love you. Public transport is probably the best thing you could do to get around in a city. Public transport is so much fun. Like, I love sometimes just sitting on a tube or a tram or whatever and just seeing where it goes, and most of the time it's next to nothing cost wise, and you can get from A to B so cheap. Accessible, easy ways and authentic ways to see a city. And the final thing I wanted to mention is something that I don't think anyone or not a lot of people are aware of. I use sites such as Cashback, Honey, Quidco, and they don't do a lot, but things like that add up. So I'm pretty sure you might have seen Honey around. It's been advertised everywhere. I've used Honey when it first came out, and it's just a add-on for your browser. And when you get to the checkout page and you need a discount code, I hate spending money. I hate paying full price, and it's so hard to just scour the internet to see if this code works. Honey just scans the entire web, all the discount codes that could possibly come up, and applies any one to it. Sometimes I have found that it doesn't give the best discount, so shout out to my siblings who have student discount, because student discount doesn't come up on Honey. So for those of you who don't have student discount, Honey is honestly prime time. Top Cashback is another thing like that. Basically, you create a Top Cashback account and you can get a percentage of your money back from making a booking. For example, on Hostelworld, you can get a certain amount back after you made a booking. If you're going to buy something from, you're going to go and book a hostel in Hostelworld, search Hostelworld, you go on it and you click the offer, it will send you to the Hostelworld page, and then you do your booking as normal, and then you'll get like a percentage of that money back stated on the page. And it's just another way you can deem back some of the money. You don't get a lot of money back, so say sometimes it's like £1 or £2, and it's not a lot, but at the end of the day it all kind of racks up. If you're spending a lot of money on flights and things like that, I say 10-20 quid here and there is a real chunk of money which you can just like rack up in your account. I've got to say though, the pending process and the tracking process is a bit slow. That's my only bugbear about it, but I do love Top Cashback, and Quidco is essentially the same thing. But yeah, I believe that is everything for this video. I hope it was consumable. I hope it was condensed. I hope it was quick as possible. Basically, yeah, I just wanted to create a video that was deliverable in one chunk. I'm gonna be doing another video, I believe, maybe 2 more on cheap travel or travel related stuff. If you're enjoying them, leave a like, let me know, because then I can do some more, because I think I've got ideas of more travel related content I could do, and that's kind of like the niche I wanted to fall into when I started YouTube. But obviously I can't really travel now. Might as well make some travel related content while I'm just sitting at home, you know. That is it for this video. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. My Instagram and my other social medias are linked down below. Also, the links that I mentioned in this video are going to be linked down below, so you can kind of like help me out, help your boy out. Till the next one, take care, stay safe, incognito all the way, and I shall see you soon. Bye.